or whatever. But anyway, I'm Lou Baker, and I'm the Director of Student Support Services for Springfield Public Schools. And very pleased to see many faces that I know and a few maybe that I'm not quite as familiar with. I would like to just take a moment and have anyone that is a district employee, if you please stand. I'm going to have you give your name, of course, and then what your title or work is. And then I get to stand close to you so we catch all of this.
Good morning. Thank you for coming. My name is Arwa Franklin. I'm the Supervisor of Community-Based Programs. Oh, you guys stand closer.
Hello, my name is Katie Day. I'm the Transition Technician for Springfield Public Schools.
And my name's David Brott. I don't like to use a microphone, so I'm not going to use it. But I'm the Transition Services Coordinator for Springfield Public Schools.
I'm not going to use this either. My name is Diane DeGroot, and I'm the Transition Specialist for District 186.
Hello, my name is Roxanne Baker. I'm the social worker at Washington Middle School.
Good morning, I'm Karen Durrett, and I'm the Student Support Services Supervisor. I work with early childhood through high school.
Good morning, my name is Mary Wyman. I'm the parent mentor.
And you will get to work with?
And I work with all families who have students in special ed, new families, experienced families, whatever I can do to help.
Thank you. Okay. And this is our annual Breakfast with Lou, where we are going to be sharing out a little bit. I also want to recognize that we have a couple of board members that are present as well. Donna Moore and Adam Lopez. Welcome and thank you for coming. Come on in. Good morning. One of the things that I need to say right off is that without the parents, this certainly would not be possible. So that's one of the most important pieces that we always need to make sure that we share. And we recognize that you're giving up your time to come out this morning and meet with us. And so we very much appreciate that as well. And we hope that this will be valuable information to you this morning. So, could I see just kind of a show of hands, anyone that has a student at the elementary level or pre-K level? Okay. Could I see a show of hands for anyone that has a child at the middle school level? Okay, very good. High school? Okay, and then there's a question of whether or not you have a child that has a disability that's been identified by the school district. Okay, thank you. Okay. That helps us know who our audience is as we're going through our communications this morning. So we're going to make this very casual. I want to make sure that you know that there's refreshments over there. Help yourself at any time. There's also restrooms out in the hallway and the opposite of turning to come to the Commons, this area. So it would be when you go out, it's to the left and straight down if you need those as well. So with that, I want to again welcome you, and I want to go ahead and get us started. Can everyone see the image up here pretty well? What I want to do is make sure that we know about the website. Student Support Services has a website as well, and so and how you go about getting to that is you would start out at the district's site, and there's always good information there. But if you go under programs, it'll take you to that, and there is a large button there that says Special Education, providing supports for the success of all students, and that will take you to our website. On that website, there's quite a bit of information that's there. Some of it is locked, or some of it is specifically to the educators in that. But there are also lots of resources that are there for the parents. One of the things that we have is there's also a link to our, well, I'm looking for that. I went to our parent information right there, and you'll see like it had up there about signing up for the breakfast this morning. But also there is a space that you can get to from there about am I not finding a link for you, Mary? Okay, so didn't stroll down far enough, but there's other different information that will be up there, and there's also the if you want to get to the parent mentor link as well. Which provides you quite a bit of information. And I don't know how many of you have visited that site before, if any. There are a couple of different groups that we work with throughout the year, and I'll let Mary speak to that. But those schedules are up there. There's opportunities for signing up, and one of the most important pieces is about parents' rights and guidelines in that. And so I want to make sure that you know where that information is to get to. And at any time, of course, you can move back to the main page of student supports. One of the things that we have been trying to work with is making sure that we are getting feedback from our families in regards to IEPs. And so those families that are involved in that process, if you have an IEP meeting, there is an opportunity for you to give us feedback as to how that went, as far as whether or not your needs were met. And we hope that you'll take advantage of completing those surveys online. We have also provided paper copies in the past, but we're trying to go more to it being online so that you can complete that information. And you will see that it has a restriction on that and tells you that you need to log in. So I want to talk to you about making sure that any parent in our district can get a login password for their child. In order to do that, you have to go through your school secretary, just so that they can verify that you actually do have a child in the district, because some of that information, of course, is private, and so we want to make sure that you're the only one that is able to get to that. So that's a very important piece, and if you've not done that piece yet, it's simply a phone call, and they can tell you what is needed from you to verify that information with your school. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and log in under my login, and it'll look a little bit different because I have access that's a little bit different than maybe parent only. Okay, and then here's a sample of then what that survey looks like. If it's eligibility, like maybe an initial meeting, that you would want to click that, or if it's a problem solving, or it could be the annual review, or whatever those areas are. And then we do want some information about the eligibility of the child, because that's really important and helps us. And there's several questions that go through in regards to the meeting beginning on time, ending, whether or not there's sufficient time for questions and answers in that, because we want to make sure, again, that we're addressing the questions that you may have about your child. Also, we want to make sure that information is being explained appropriately too. So if there's questions around that piece. But I won't go through each one of these. You'll just see that that information would be very helpful to us as we address those kind of concerns that maybe come up from time to time. So that's one piece of information. The other place that I clicked to was our problem-solving teams, because I think that's really valuable to all families. I want you to know about that, because if you click on the problem-solving teams and you see which school your child goes to, then it will tell you who your contact people are if there's concerns or questions that maybe you need to have addressed or would like to actually meet with someone. So the first school that's up there is Adams Elementary, and it tells you who the case manager is. That would probably be your contact person at the elementary level or at the pre-kindergarten level. And then it also tells you who some of the other people are that are key from our department, which would be the social worker and the psychologist as well. I think it still has me logged in, so. Okay. Looks to me like I clicked on Washington Middle School because we have the Washington Middle School social worker here, but I see that we've not made that change or update from last year's social worker, so that needs to happen. But anyway, again, you'll see that that's there for each of our schools, and I think that's a valuable tool if you're looking for who you can contact. At the middle school and the high school level, then you're talking about a department chair, and that's a little bit different than a case manager, so I want to make sure that you know those key names when you're contacting someone or if you have questions, again, or concerns. And on this particular site are only those people that are in or related to the student support service. Now, in our high schools and our middle schools, elementary schools also, there will be other team members. Possibly there will be other teachers that might be sitting on those teams. The principal is probably part of those teams as well. So this is not all inclusive of who's there. I want to make sure that that you know you can always contact or start with the classroom teacher. That's obviously the first place that we'd like for you to be having those conversations if you have questions in that. One of the other pieces of information that might be valuable to you is also about our data. And just looking at some of the data that was collected from last year, and I won't go through all of this because it's a little hard to see up on a screen, but we actually collect data on how many meetings that we're having from for each meeting. We collect information in regards to how many parent contacts we're making, whether it's by telephone call or person to person and those type of things as well. So that's very important to us when we're looking at how we're doing around that piece. We want to make sure that we're doing that communication piece. We think that's very important. And so if you are reaching out to us and there's a phone call made or an email sent, I will be the first one to say emails are really hard sometimes because we get such a volume of them, but we want to make sure that we're getting back to you in a timely manner. So if that's, and we actually do track that. So if that's not happening, let us know that those are things that we can improve upon.
Is this still in the logged-in area?
This is, as far as the data, that's public.
Oh, okay.
And also with emails, I just wanted to say, sometimes they come in from parents. They come in from parents and they go in our spam or whatever, and we can't find them sometimes. So please know that if you have emailed, give us a call back and say, and then we can go search sometimes, but sometimes it goes right to our spam and we can't see them. So.
Okay. Okay. And I'm not going to go through each one of these pieces, but again, I think that there's valuable information. There's also like health services sits underneath student support services. And so there's a link that you can go to for there as well. I know that recently with exclusion date that came up and with physicals and immunizations and those type of things that were needed and that will be needed in the future. There's information that's there and available also. We also have what I call acronyms, which we continue to update on a regular basis, but that information is some of those words sometimes that we get so used to throwing around that maybe there's questions about what do those actually mean. And so that's kind of a little dictionary on that piece. Even when we think of IEPs and those type of things, that gets to be a common word for us. It's really an acronym that stands for the individual education plan of the students and that. So that's a place that you can go to as a resource that might be helpful as well. And then just a listing of all of our staff, and that is by each category. So if you're not at that actual school looking for the problem-solving person, you can also go to each of the different ones and see. So Mr. Rett, who supervises our department chairs overall, even though they work in the individual schools, but you'll see the listing for each of our schools as well. Okay. And one other piece that might be helpful or informative is also about the criteria of eligibilities, and I'm kind of jumping around in that, but sometimes when we're looking at what is it that qualifies a student for a disability, and we're talking about an educational disability, which is oftentimes different a little bit from maybe a medical diagnosis in that. We do have those, and again, these are open to the public to view, and it is an obligation as a school district that we're required to go through those and define how that is determined. And that information is available also. Okay. So. I'm going to log out. Okay. Okay. In a minute, Mr. Rhett's going to talk to you a little bit about our electronic IEP and that. And so we want to make sure that she has to log in and show you the steps to do that, should you have that need. I wanted to also talk to you just a little bit about there's been some changes regarding Medicaid in requirements this year. And so coming to your homes, if you have a student that has a disability, there will be a letter that will be coming to your home, either by way of Wednesday folders or your child if they're older. I said Wednesday folders. That's back when I was at a school, we used Wednesday folders. It may be Tuesday folder, it may be whatever it is at the school, but there will be information coming home. The guidelines changed just a little bit. I think as a district, we've always been pretty much in compliance with this piece because we've always had it as part of our registration packets. But we're required to send out a separate piece this year going over how that Medicaid funding can be requested or used. And basically, it will go into details telling you a little bit about without your signature, we're not able to access that funding. And in order for us to be able to access that, we need a signature on file each year at this time. And so that's why we've always done that as part of registration. But this year, they're asking for us to send out a separate letter. So that will, over the next couple of weeks, should come home. Hopefully the letter is informative, but if you do have questions, feel free to contact our office about that. It will be very important that we get a signature on that and it returned. And it does, like I said, for that year, it allows us to access those funds for your child if they're eligible. And we work with an agency that goes through and checks to see about eligibility in that. So that's kind of in a nutshell, essentially what you'll be getting. But again, if you have questions about that, please contact us. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is oftentimes we've tried to do some things around a question and answer session, and sometimes that's really difficult in this kind of setting, only because we get into things around confidentiality and that. So what we're hoping to do this morning near the end of this conversation is offer some casual conversation with the supervisors that will be around if you want to meet with us for a minute or two, if you have specific questions that you'd like to go over with us. And we think that hopefully that will address some of those concerns. With that said, I think we're going to transition from me to Mr. Rhett at this time. And you don't think that's working? So does that mean, are you at least hearing me? Okay.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to move this over a little bit, so I don't want my back to everybody. Okay, Lou, you're still connected.
Oh, I thought you meant here. I may be
Apparently.
here.
And do we really need that?
Because that's, yeah.
Because if we could turn that off, I could just talk loud. Lou, where does this go? Oh, okay.
I just flipped it out.
Excuse me. Yeah, you were logged out. Okay. Okay, apparently I'm having difficulty. There we go. Okay. Good morning. I'm Karen Durrett, and I know Lou and Mary, Mary Wyman, and I don't know what I just did. There we go. Had asked that we give, when R was going to come up in a minute with the transition team, just give a little bit of background about ourselves. As I said, I'm Karen Durrett. This is my 27th year in education, special education. I used to be the early childhood elementary supervisor, and over the last couple of years I've had the wonderful opportunity to also now include the middle school and the high school. And what I have found, it has truly been an opportunity, because now I get to see the little itty bitties, the early childhood kids that are now in high school. So when I go to high school meetings, I'm just like, oh, so it's very exciting to see the progress that the students are meeting and making. It's also really nice to see parents again too. So when we go to those meetings, I know Arwa probably feels the exact same way. It's very nice to be able to keep track of our students and see how they're doing. What I was asked to do this morning was talk about our electronic IEP. And, hey Lou. Did you have trouble with that?
No.
Okay, so apparently as the secretary, as the student support says, I have touched something. Okay, there we go. You should see when I go towards the copy machine. What I was asked to do is go over the electronic IEP. You might have heard it EIP when you go to meetings. When Lou came in probably 6 years ago, Lou, I think you've been our director for 6 years. We really talked to supervisors, and we heard from families. We've heard from the different buildings that we really need to move forward and put something electronically for the parents. There are a couple reasons that we have done this. I think the first and most important reason is access to IEPs for families. If you have access, as Lou was talking about, to get on and see your child's CUME folder, then you're going to have access to see the child's IEP. I am a parent of a child that had a disability. He is now a junior in college, and I was cleaning out my cabinets the other day, and I said, oh, there's his IEP, the one that I called all the time, saying, could you send me another IEP? You know, it was one of those things. So, and I know Mary's going to help you guys also organize a little bit, but as a parent, there's one of those things you always want to be able to have your IEP readily available, so you can look at accommodations, you can look at the other things. So I know how you feel, but also if you don't have access, please never hesitate to call the department chair or the case manager if you have questions about IEP. But that is one of the main reasons that we're doing it. Also know another reason that we've done the electronic IEP on our website, or actually school's intranet, they're two different things, on the school's intranet, is when students move from building, from building to another building, sometimes we have some mobility. We want this incoming school, let's say a child moved from Jefferson to Washington, we want that school, as soon as that child starts that day, to have access to what that student needs, the accommodations, the specific services, and by having that online and they have access, there's different profiles that folks have. If they have working with a child, then they have access to that child. They can go online and make sure that those accommodations are starting day one. And also when we move during the summer into August, we have lots of kids move. That's a lot of files to move, so we do that, but we do not want to prolong any type of service for students. So this is something folks can go on and look immediately and get those services started. I do want to clarify that the electronic IEP, what you will be viewing, is not the official records. The official records from the state, we follow the state mandates very carefully and very closely. It will be the hard copy that the official record of your student support services or special ed is kept at on third floor, and it is the file. And that's with all of the signatures,
Those are the official records. What you have the ability to view is, it is the IEP, but obviously there's not signatures, so it's not official. And some of the reports, we have made that decision. We've talked to parents, we've talked to some buildings, and we are not having all of the reports, perhaps maybe not all the social worker reports, all the psychologist reports on there. You still will get a copy of those, but that is something that we heard from parents that they just didn't want those up, and I completely get that. I'm a parent. So those will not be able to be viewed, but you will have those hard copies, those official records. Okay? And I'm going to sit down so you can see. If you have access, and I'm going to try not to move it, if you have access from the secretary, like Ms. Baker was talking about, you'll go to the button up here. Is that dark, or am I just feeling old today? Okay. You go up to the intranet. You will click on it. They will give you, I'm assuming they give you a username and a password, but I'm going to go ahead and put mine in. Ooh. See if I spelled it right. That's a good start. And then what will happen is you will have access. You will go over to, you will not have as many things as I have, but you will go click on the CUME folder. And please know I have been given permission to put this student's name in. I hope his mom told him that I'm doing it. I'm looking at Miss Baker. I hope she, but anyway, he's a good kid. So I'm going to put in a student. Oops. Okay. And then you will see your child's name. You will see a lot of things, where they're at, the grade level, status. You will want to click on, he's high school, so okay, I'm going to click on this one. Okay, now, when you are able to see your child's CUME folder, there's all sorts of things you're going to be able to access. You're going to be able to access, the assessments, grades, attendance. We're not going to do that for that purpose, because the purpose today is just to look at the electronic IEP. What you will want to go to is where it says Other. Okay, see over to the far right. Oh my gosh, you can't see it. I don't know how to make it smaller. Oh, here we go. Can you? It won't stay smaller. Oh, I was trying to. You know what? That was the best non-technical way to do it. Thank you. Okay, because it won't.
If you go up to,
I can't make it, because it lets me squeeze it smaller, but then it won't stay. Oh, there you go.
Get a little book or something.
A little book or something. Oh, there's legs. See, that's where I would have gone the non-technical way first. So
you're already viewing the whole screen, right?
yeah, there we go. Okay. Yes, thank you so much. All right, so I'm going to repeat what I said, because I obviously did not look what was up there. Okay, the general is where I'm at now. The general, but you will have the ability to look at the assessments, grades. Thank you so much. Grades, attendance, your child's schedule. If you haven't done, how many of you have access and are able to look at the CUMES? Okay, I think this is wonderful. If they had this when my children were little, I would have loved this. Then what you will do is you'll go to Other, and it's just taken, and it will show your child's history. But what you're going to want to do, if your child has an IEP or has had an IEP, this will pop up. It will say Student Support Services. Okay, that's what you want to click on. Okay, your IEP information will show up. Now, if this says no IEP records found, he no longer has an IEP, so that would not be up there. But if your child has had a recent IEP this year, and they have done an electronic IEP, this is where you will click. It will have the date highlighted. It will have your child's name. You will click on it, and it will show you the electronic IEP. And that's where you're going to want to look for, oh goodness, that's where you're going to want to look for all of the information. What I do want to tell you is they are not all up yet. As you know, you have an annual IEP at least once a year. You obviously can ask for more IEPs, just request those. But what we have decided is we have such a large number of students with IEPs, and we have a large volume of IEP meetings, that over this past year and now this year, whenever there is an annual IEP, it will be done electronically. That means your case manager or your department chair will be sitting with their computer open. And please know that they are going to be facilitating the IEP and also updating everything in the IEP. When they mark it complete, where there's a little button that they will mark complete, that is when other people can view. Nobody can change it, okay? It is a view only at that point. Nobody, not even the case manager or the department chair, can go back in and change anything. It becomes view only. The only way that they could change something is if there's something that was erroneous on it, a typo, which with Computer Services, Mike Earlham, I've got to tell you, he's just been wonderful, has helped us immensely making sure those things don't happen. But if they do, then the case manager department chair would go through me and Mike Earlham to go in and make that erroneous misspelling correct or something like that. They will not go back into that IEP. Even if you re-meet and have a problem-solving meeting, let's say the accommodations, you're having some difficulty and you want to have an accommodation meeting, you want an IEP meeting, they won't go back in and reopen that. They will add to it. So things won't change. You are going to have a record. We wanted to make sure of that, and technology department has really been helpful. We wanted to make sure that everybody understood that nobody's going back in, changing anything. It's always going to be added on top of it, okay? So please know you may not be able to view yet. You'll probably have something that says no IEP records found until you have either that a reevaluation or you have an annual. But our hope is that by the beginning of next year, we will have everybody cycled through, and then the parents will be able to view, the schools next August will be able to view and have everything up. Now, is there any questions that I can try to answer? Is there any questions about electronic IEP, or do we want to wait and do that later? Okay.
I'm assuming that before that final button is clicked,
Yes.
that it's viewed by the parent instead of the parent.
That is a very good question. We had some conversations, and it is not going to be viewed up. We even talked about having projectors, but we felt that it being viewed during the IEP, it would take away from the interaction of the people, and that we would start having an electronic meeting and not a person meeting or a child meeting. So we're not viewing that up there, but we ask the case manager department chairs, especially if they're doing additional pages, to read back the information for everybody to hear. And they are printing those out. They are to be printed out. You have the right as a parent to have a copy of that IEP at the end of a meeting. It is printed out for you, even though you can go and view it. It's printed out. It's not as pretty. I'm just going to say that because it just, they couldn't fix it to where it looked, some of the pages are cut in half, but technology has really worked on that. So it's a lot of paper, but you have the right to have it right then and there, and you can look through it too and see if there's anything missing. But sometimes there is a lot, and you try to go over everything, and if you find something, you give them a call and we fix it. Or if there's something you don't agree with and we've gone over it, then you can recall and have another IEP. Get back together and have an IEP. That's a really good question. Ms. Baker?
Problem-solving meetings, are they captured in an IEP as well?
Yes, they are. A problem-solving meeting, what would happen is the case manager, department chair would have the file and have the old IEP, or the current IEP, and there is a document. Many of the parents may have had meetings like this. It's called the additional page, where they will document the questions and how we're going to work on things and change things, and that will be attached. It will not necessarily, technology has not found a way to attach it to the old one yet. They're working on that, but it will show, let's say your meeting was October 10th, and you've implemented the accommodations, you've implemented the services, and come December, you think you need to get back together, then when you go on, it will say December 11th. So there'll be 2. So you can go back and view the old current one, and then you'll be able to view the one that you're working on. It's a really good question. Mary?
Could you talk briefly about the parental concern area, the IEP, and how that would be
Said,
the parental concerns, how that would be different with an electronic IEP?
I don't think there'll be much of a difference. Maybe whenever there's a parental concern, what you're talking about, the actual document?
Right. Are the parents reminded that if they have a concern, that then they can voice it? Or
Definitely.
Do they have to remember to
Yeah.
say?
Yeah. At every IEP, there is a place on one of the pages that your case manager or your department chair should be asking as you're going through the IEP. Many times, it's kind of an intense process for parents. We're trying to make it a little bit easier, but you may have 9 people sitting around that table, and sometimes it's very difficult to remember everything. And I know Mary's going to go over things. Your voice is so important. You know your child better than we know your child. So there is a portion of the IEP, it's called Parent Concerns, if that's what you're talking about. And the case manager department chair, after they've reread and gone back over everything, they will be asking you, does this sound correct? Is there anything you want me to add or any concerns? And it could be anything. It could be schedules for your middle school, high school. It could be, accommodations. I just want to make sure that the accommodations are put in there. But you as a parent have the right to voice your concerns, and it's our responsibility, our obligation is to document and note those. Is that what you're talking about, Mary? Okay. So your voice is very important. Any other questions about the electronic IEP? It is still ISB forms. Our district decided years ago that we would adopt the Illinois State Board of Education, see there we go, forms, so we could just make sure that we're doing everything that they request. They look just a little different. You will notice that Student Support Services, Springfield School District, we have put that on the top, but they are the exact same forms that Illinois State Board of Education requires the special ed department to use. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. And I think is it Arwa and the transition team going to be going next? And I'm going to take this off. I'm going to log out.
Good morning. The very cool thing for me right now is that we're all here for the same reason.
Oh, yeah. Oh, not download this stuff. No, I just want to make sure we captured it.
Capture. This. Oh. I do have a sparkly microphone in my car that I really like. Are you guys there? Yeah? Okay. Good morning. I'll start this over. The very cool thing for me right now is that we're all here for the same reason, and that's children, your child, adult children of ours, whatever it is. That's why we're here. And so I appreciate all of us coming together for that reason. My name's Arwa Franklin. I'm a community-based program supervisor. What does community-based programs mean? There's several things that fall under that, and I'm going to explain just a little bit. And then Miss Katie Day does have some of my business cards. If anybody would want one, please just raise your hand and she'll get one to you. The goofy thing is I only brought 5. That's all I found in my purse after digging through lots. So I will get you more if you can write down my information. Community-based programs. We have several programs that we run under community-based programs. And I want to explain them to make sure that if you guys have any questions, you can reach out to me if we don't have time today. We oversee the residential facilities, students that need services that we are not able to provide here in the district. So any students that need residential services. We also run occupational therapy and physical therapy department out of that program, out of our community-based programs. The other thing is we do oversee the educational programs at the Juvenile Center, Gateway Drug and Alcohol Center, Lakeshore Therapeutic Center, and again, the residential piece is huge. We oversee the students that need to go to some other location to receive their services, whether it's the state of Illinois or outside of state of Illinois. A very cool part of what I do, or what comes under community-based programs, is another program that we oversee is the transition program. And I asked our transition team to come today to kind of give you guys a little view of what transition services are, what they should look like, and then what we are working on right now to address the concerns that we've heard from parents that in our severe and profound population, there's a lack of job opportunities for those that are 50 or less IQ, that kind of thing. So my team has come up with an amazing program that's going to be kicking off here pretty quick. And so we can give them job opportunities, okay? So I'm going to ask my transition team to come up now, please. And the very cool thing about this is that I get so excited because I asked them like 2.5 days ago, hey, what you doing Saturday morning? Want to come out? So they are so excited that they're here. I told them I'm going to get them a tour bus, take this on tour, right? Okay, this is Diane DeGroot. She is a transition specialist. We are a very fortunate district because not every district has a transition specialist. This Dave, he's our token male on the team. This is David Brott. Go ahead, your vocational coordinator, everything. He's everything. And this is the brains beauty behind it all. This is Catherine Day. She is a transition technician. And we very much honor her because she is the budget person, the person we vent to, the person who coordinates with community. We can't function without her. She's a very important piece. So there is another individual that wasn't able to make it this morning, Charity Workman. She is also a vocational coordinator, and so you may see her in the high schools as well. And I have to stop and say that this cannot be done without the support of Ms. Baker. So thank you, Ms. Baker. We appreciate that. And our board members, because we presented to them too, and they were all on board, and it was very exciting. So thank you to both of you and the rest of them. So. I'm going to turn it over to them, and if I seem really hyper and excited, it's because I am, because they're like awesome team and care about the kids, and really the end result is that our kids can function as citizens in society and provide for themselves to the best of their ability. That's what we want for all of our kids. So this is the team that's going to help us get all our babies somewhere where they need to be to function as independently as possible.
Hello, I'm Diane DeGroot, and what I'm going to talk about to begin with is what transition is. I know a lot of you have young children, some of you had middle school children, and a few of you have older students, but our job as a team is to help students transition to what it is they're going to do when they leave school. Some of our kids are going to leave and go to college. Some of our students are going to leave and end up in employment. And some of our students, and the ones we're going to talk about today, are the ones that are the most difficult to place, the severe and profound students. What are they going to do besides go and sit at home? And parents have had to quit their jobs to take care of them. We're trying to solve that issue, and the program that we're going to talk about today does that. But transition can start early. Even though we don't really in the state of Illinois write a transition plan until they're 14 and a half, it's still an excellent idea to work with your younger students on what is a job. When you go to the grocery store, who works here and who is just here shopping? You go to the bank and have them identify who is actually working at the bank so that they're thinking long-term down the road what it's going to be like to be employed and how they're going to get there. I'm kind of the overseer of this part right under ARWA. I work with any kids that have special needs. I work with the community-based program kids. I can go to middle schools, and I'm always open for questions. I've been doing this a long time. I've connected with most of the agencies in the community and have a lot of background information on eligibility criteria, which we're going to go over a little bit today as well. But I'm going to turn it over to Katie Day, and she's going to talk a little bit about the actual program that we've developed called Inc. 186.
Before doing that, we have a video.
Okay,
we'd like to
we're
show.
going to go to
So-
the video first. We're going to have to step out of the way.
This is our Ink 186 video because we're moving into that right now, right?
As a token male, he also is our electronics expert.
Yeah, currently I am.
Some he doesn't even know about that.
If you'd like to add something, please let me know. It's fine.
Borrow that for a second. And as Diane was saying, this is our transition video. We've worked very hard to bridge those gaps, from from kids from kids sitting at home to transitioning out of school. We've had big struggles with this. Coming in here. We had worked together to do this. I'll get the video started here. Oops. And of course, we have technical difficulties, no sound. I don't see these. Oh, it's not on. Oh, there it is. Okay. It's not hard to see. Here you go.
Gonna make a difference. Gonna make it right.
Our life skills population. Generally, in our high schools, they had an IQ of fifth year or lower. That thing kind of messes me up a little bit. I stutter, and that's a disability that I have. Sometimes you may go, kind of do that thing. But our life skills kids have IQs 50 or lower, and what we really try to focus on is improving. I know Katie's going to talk about that.
So the program we've developed is called Inc. 186, and the main job that they're going to be doing in this program is going to be screen printing T-shirts. It sounds like a very basic idea, and we realize with the schools that we have that we'd be able to have a lot of jobs for the kids. They're going to not only do screen printing, but they're going to do button making. And the most important part of our new program is that we're partnering with United Cerebral Palsy, and they'll be connected to an agency before they leave high school. We're going to work with them not only on employment skills, but life skills as well. They're going to work on things, certain curriculums, resume building, just a kind of general program to prepare them for anything after high school. And our goal with the T-shirt printing is they're also going to be doing some of the selling. We actually have some of the kids selling the buttons now in schools, and so they can take pride and be a full part of this from the beginning of the design to making to selling, and have them feel ownership over the program just as much as the job coaches that'll be working with them and the staff that'll be working with them as well.
I butt in a lot, sorry. One of the things that I think makes this program a little bit unique is we are also going to work with parents, which is important that we get that out to you. We are going to set up at least 4 or 5 different training sessions to talk specifically about what parents of this population are going to need in order to transition, including connection to the community provider that provides long-term funding for these students, the Division of Rehab Services, which is what has helped us to fund this program, connection to an agency in the community, and I know David's going to talk a little bit about some of the employers that have also joined us to help provide this possibility for the kids. Will you use it now?
I guess I can. This partnership is multi-tiered. We're partnering with Primo Designs, and we're also partnering with Lincoln Community College, and they're tremendously excited about this opportunity. Where's that? I also have a video on the PUNS list. Has anybody heard of the PUNS list before? You guys familiar with that? It is the single most important thing if you have a child with a disability. The most important thing that you can do for your child now. You can do it as soon as 3 years old. And what we've kind of seen, a lot of our students are graduating school and they're not on the PUNS list. We have kids out at Lee who are 21 years old. We have students, and the PUNS list, it's the gateway for services. Right now in Illinois, we have a wait list of 24,000. And that's actually down from 27,000. Illinois is 48 out of 50 as far as disability services go. So we're not doing very well as a state. It's not just a District 186 problem. We're dying to talk about kids graduating school. It's a statewide problem. And what through this program, it's important to remember what we're trying to accomplish is bridging that gap. I know I said it before. This thing kind of made me draw a blank, so I apologize for that. But so what I want to talk to you about today is that PUNS list, and kind of sitting down. I wanted just to have the core information here. Would one of you be able just to click through the slides for me? Thank you so much. PUNS stands for the prioritization of urgency of needs for services. And again, this is that statewide list that you need to be on. It's the first step to getting services. Go and click through if you want. If you're not on PUNS, you're not on a wait list for services. So you definitely need to get on. I'll give you our local contact information. In order to get on PUNS, you need to set up a meeting with a PASS agent that's pre-admission screening agent. and they determine if your child is eligible for services. They need to have an IQ of 70 or lower, and they need to have a developmental disability. And again, if we're talking residential services, they can pay for job coaching. They can pay for day training programs. You're all familiar with what a day training program is? No? All right. Let's. We need a longer presentation here, but day training is for the most severe and profound. There's a continuum of employment. You know, we have a day training program, which is the most restricted, and then we have what's known as a workshop, where kids are doing piecework, and might be doing packaging tasks, things like that, and getting paid by the piece. And then there's the support employment, where they have a job coach, and again, PUNS pays for that. And then finally, competitive employment, and that's our goal for all our kids. We want competitive employment. You know, we want those kids working. You know, it's not necessarily gonna happen for everybody. You know, so that's why we need to be part of this. Go ahead, Katie. I already talked about this. Go ahead and click again. And then our local PUNS provider is Central Illinois Service Access, and that's contact information. And all you have to do is call that phone number there, 732-4731. Ask to speak to Leandra.
David, can I say too?
Yeah.
It doesn't, you guys don't have to wait. If your child is itty bitty,
Yeah.
what we struggle with are when the child is 17 and 18 and we ask the question, it's nothing we can do for you as parents to put your child on the PUNS list. It's do it now. Do it as soon as you know they have a disability. They will screen and determine. It's not something we do. They will let you know, yes, your child can be placed on this list. With 24,000 sitting on the list right now in the state of Illinois, I would say we encourage it. We want parents to be knowledgeable about this so that they can
Yeah, 3 years old.
their child know.
Yeah, 3 years old, 3 to 21. Once they're selected on that list, they have that for life. You know, they have funding for life. You know, so there was, I think last year, a lawsuit, and the list was at 27,000. It's down to 24,000 now. So I mean, but it might be getting better. But you know, we have more and more students identified for special education services, and the list keeps growing. You know, so I just want to make that important as you talk to people. If you're an advocate, the number one thing you can do for your child with a disability, the number one thing I'm going to recommend to you is get them on the PUNS list, and just call that phone number. Leandra will kind of walk you through and get the paperwork started. And then once a year, you kind of have to re-up, contact them. You know, and the way you're kind of chosen off this list is how much services are needed. For example, if a student is homeless, or if a student, you know, has a bad home situation, they'll get selected first off that list based on need. So.
And through our Inc. 186 program, we are going to have the people from CISA come and do a training for our parents. And we also have April 5th, we have a Get It Done Day for parents that's put on by our Transition Planning Committee. And they will be there and able to answer your questions and help you get the first steps of that enrollment period done as well. Plus, we're going to have Social Security available, people to talk about Social Security benefits for your student, how that affects their future, what they're going to need as far as job skills to not affect their Social Security, or how it's going to affect their Social Security. We'll have benefits planners. So that's going to be an important day, and we'll try and get that word out to you through your parent mentor or on the website, other ways like that, so that you guys can be aware. Step number one is you're here today. And that is awesome, because that shows us that you are willing and interested and want these services, and our job is to help you get connected to them. We do not want a student that graduates from school into nothing. That's our goal, especially this year. We want to make sure that our Inc. 186 program is geared towards those students that are about ready to graduate or could potentially graduate anytime. They've put in 4 years of high school and now they don't know what direction they're going to go. A lot of those kids mature a little slower, need a little bit more time, but they also need to focus vocationally. And so that's the goal of this program, is to make sure that then they get connected to an agency. And if you're not connected to an agency now and you have a student with a developmental disability, you should get connected to one. Spark, Goodwill, United Cerebral Palsy, because all of those people are the ones that will help you to make that transition so that the student doesn't stay at home, they'll have somewhere to go. And frequently, if a student is connected already to an agency, what we see is the agency will kind of pull that student and help that student get through the PUNS list. Because there's 24,000 people on it, but that doesn't mean that there are 24,000 people ahead of you. They're not pulled in order. They're pulled based on need. They're pulled based on location. A lot of those 24,000 students are in Chicago, which actually helps us in the long run, because a lot of those people, if there's an opening down here, don't want to move down to Springfield. So if the opening is down here, then they come down and they talk to the agencies, they find out who is in most need in this area and go from there. So don't let the 24,000 scare you. Get on the list as early as you can. If you get chosen young, you can go on the children's waiver so that they will help assist you with finding respite care and different things like that. The PUNS list is critical, though, for students with significant disabilities. And that's what we're trying to address with our program, so that there is a connection. Those things are done prior to graduation. Everybody's aware of what's going on. So we will be doing several trainings coming up on how that's going to happen. Of course, that's all free to the families. Your child does not have to be in the Inc. 186 program to attend. And we'll try and make that as widely spread information about those dates as we can.
Hey, I just want to commend our transition team. 7 or 8 months ago, we had looked at a need, and we saw those high school kids graduating school and not going anywhere. In fact, I can name 5 right now who are sitting at home every day. And so what we kind of did 7 or 8 months ago, we asked ARWA for a small space over our community-based programs, and it didn't really work out. So what we did, we went back to the drawing table, and in 7 or 8 months, we pushed out a program, where that's going to serve this year 20 students with special needs, and we anticipate within 3 to 5 years we'll serve 50 kids with special needs. And so we don't want to just kind of start this program and leave it. We want to grow it, and we want to make it self-sustaining, and we want to pay students for it. So I'm just really proud to be part of this team, and I'm really excited about the future. This program, I've looked around as far as public school districts, especially financially strapped public school districts. I mean, putting out a program like this is unique. It's not something that I've seen a lot out there. It's something that private schools do. You may have heard about some private school programs, and again, public schools though. I mean, this is very unique to Springfield Public Schools, and it's targeting a population that's our most vulnerable right now, and is most affected by state cuts. Unfortunately, unfortunately, state cuts tend to target this population. So I'll leave it to Diane to close out.
Any questions?
Yeah, I had a question. The services or the financial aid that was given to those people that were on the PUNS list, is that up only for students or up to 21 years of age, or is this going to be?
It's forever. It's for life. If you get on the PUNS list and you get chosen, it's a Medicaid waiver program, so your student has to be on Medicaid. And that program then stays with them for the rest of their lives. So it can pay for residential services even if you don't know that you're ready for your student to go residentially into a group home or into a program in the community, you don't have to do that to still accept the PUNS. You can use it for the day training program and for other things. So don't be afraid. Nobody's trying to take your baby away and put him away in a group home. Those don't even hardly exist anymore. So go ahead and get on that list, because it guarantees your child, especially if you're older and you're not sure what's going to happen to your child if something happens to you, it's kind of critical that you have that connection to an agency. Like I said, if UCP knows that your child needs residential in the future and they have an opening, they can kind of pull that kid through the system when you're ready. So,
And to prepare for adult services, basically.
yes.
Yeah, so, of course, we want to help our kids while they're with us, but then this also, the link that they're all talking about through Inc. 186, that group of kids, to hook them up with agencies that will take care of them, enhance their independent living skills as adults, so that those 5 or 6 that we're talking about right now that we have knowledge of that are still sitting at home as adults, it's very critical that we don't have that. So we're trying to do what we can on the front end to make sure that they are linked with someone, so that when they do enter their adult world, they have a better quality of life.
Yeah. The other piece to it too, we have life school students, and those students a lot of times do stay in school until the day before their 22nd birthday. And a lot of times they have very similar curriculum. They have 1 or 2 teachers that they're working with, and they get bored. I know I'd get bored. 7 years, similar curriculum, and life school teachers do a fantastic job. We have great teachers here in the district, but there's only so much they can do over the course of 7 years, and life school students once again might not have the skills to go right out into a community job, or even into support employment, so that's why we're putting these linkages together. Just wanted to add that to kind of piggyback on you are. Good.
This is kind of weird passing this back and forth. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Pass it to you.
Again, I just want to reiterate that it's really important that as your student gets to be closer to the age of 14, help us. Our department chairs are really good about keeping that on the radar. They need to create a transition plan. It's part of the IEP process when that child's 14 and a half. But now that you're aware, you can also help remind us and be like, hey, my child's going to be 14, and sometimes the kids turn 14 and a half during the summer, and we're all, where are we, right? So bug us. It's great. We want that. We want our people front and center to help plan for. So if it were up to me, we'd allow this for all kids. But sorry, Lou. I think every child, disabled or not, should have this in-depth plan of what they're going to do after life. So after high school. Yeah, life.
High school life.
Yeah, right. So thank you, everybody. If anybody wants my card, you're welcome on any kind of. Like I said, I only had 5. So would you like one? You get one anyway. Oh, you do? You already know? Good. Thank you for entertaining me. You want one too? I think you know how to get a hold. Yes. Okay. Very good. Thank.